Hello, friends and family. If this is your first video, we're Larry and Christine, a couple of aspiring YouTube travel vloggers on a 60-day adventure touring around Turkey. Please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to follow us as we discover Turkey's top travel destinations. I hope you'll join us. We've just left Cesme, where we had a little rest after a jam-packed 4 days in Istanbul. Check out those videos on our channel. Today we're heading for Ephesus to see the ancient city. But first, and on the way, we want a beach day, so we're scoping out beaches along the coastal route. Well, our first stop was a bit of a fail with the public beach littered with broken glass. So we've decided to check out one of the seaside resorts with their day pass use and their pools still open. It's mid-September, so not a lot of people here, but it's 32 degrees C in the middle of September and both the pool and the beach look inviting. So here we go. First stop is the beach for our official first dip into the Aegean on this trip around Turkey. But first, let's check out the pool. First official beach day. So we've pulled up to a beach resort, and for $8 you can use all of their facilities except the restaurants and stuff. And we're sort of halfway between Cesme and Ephesus. And the lovely Christine couldn't wait. Well, I think it's time for a little walk down the beach here. Well, I've wandered off the resort and onto another section of the public beach. Much nicer than our first stop, and it looks like people are starting to arrive. It's just afternoon on a weekday, so not a lot of kids, as I think they've started back to school already. I'm not sure what the beach is called as we stumbled on the resort as we meandered down the coast between Cesme and Ephesus. I think right now we're about an hour away from Ephesus, so somewhere on the coast. degrees out, and I guess it's off season because there's not a lot of beachers. Maybe further down there. Seems they're all private beach belonging to these beachfront. A quick dip before heading back to pick up Christine at the resort. And it's about time to get back on the road. We'd like to get to Ephesus before dark. Scope out a nice place for dinner. Back on the road again. Not a lot of traffic. Got some excellent infrastructure here with newly paved roads and well signed. One of the funniest things we've seen are these police car cutouts, complete with flashing lights, made to encourage you to slow down. And here we are in Ephesus now. So what do you think? Is the chicken as good as the testi kebab?
Very comparable.
Very comparable. All right.
Only without the nice introduction.
Gotcha. No theater this time. Well, hopefully it won't cost as much. And this is a nice, stuffed pepper. It's kind of tomatoey. It tastes a lot like those Greek grape leaves, stuffed grape leaves. And what's left of our cheese salad. And up above me, we have giant grapefruits directly above my head. And we'll wrap up the night with a walk around town and to check out the statue of Artemis. Well, today is Ephesus. We've driven up early and we're the first car in the parking lot and probably the first people in the gate. So stay tuned for more. And this is our dog'em buddy who's been keeping us company while we have a coffee and wait for the place to open. So we were here, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago on a cruise, and we really only got to kind of get off the boat, head over to the Celsius library, and then head back. So today we have all day to explore, and we're here early enough that we beat the crowds, but that's only going to be for about an hour. So we're going to try and get down to the library and then work our way back up. And that's how early it is. The shadows are so long still. And this is the concert hall. This is awesome, having the place to ourselves. The stack of clay pipes have been collected for storage here from all over the site. Water was brought in by 3 different aqueducts from 3 separate water sources and distributed throughout via these clay pipes. Well, we're coming up here on the Odeon. It's a smallish theater off the main forum square. It served a dual purpose, first and foremost as the seat of the Senate, and secondly, as a performance theater. Unlike the Grand Theater, this forum did not host gladiatorial events. Built around the 2nd century, it had a capacity of around 1,500 people. The original stage building was 2 stories and embellished with columns, and the whole building would have been closed with a wooden roof. 2 councils administered Ephesus. The Bulia, or the Senate, served as the advisory council of Ephesus and would have used the Odeon for its gatherings. The members of this governing body were chosen from the aristocratic class of Ephesians. This group held all political, executive, religious, and judicial power. They would have overseen the construction of all the public structures in the building, including the temples, the theaters, and the baths. The Bulia would have also been in charge of collecting taxes and control over the running of public buildings. On feast days, the Odeon would have filled with spectators for concerts. It had 5 different entrances, 3 of which have opened from the stage to a narrow podium. Yeah. See there.
When you discover something, it's so exciting.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yep. The Memmius Monument was erected in the 1st century AD under the reign of Augustus by Memmius, a prominent citizen of Ephesus. He was the son of Caius and the grandson of the dictator Sulla of Roma.
Did you ever make that wedding purple?
I think so. The winged goddess Nike is part of a frieze that adorned the top of the Hercules Gate. And here's a first glimpse of the Celsius Library. As we make our way down Curates Street. The next monumental monument we come across is Trajan's Fountain. Built in the 1st century AD, it was dedicated jointly to the goddess Artemis and the Emperor Trajan. Both the Fountain of Trajan and the Celsius Library were financed by a wealthy couple, Tiberius Aristian and his wife Iula Laterane, and it features an arched entrance with a statue of Emperor Trajan standing on a globe in the central niche. And this is why we get up at 8 o'clock in the morning, or into the place at 8 o'clock. Other than security, we're the only ones here. Watching the sun rise on the Celsius Library in Ephesus, in Turkey. The library is probably the most distinctive building associated with Ephesus, and it's the single most identifiable structure as it adorns all the books and the postcards here. It has a 2-story facade, and its interior is one large room. This library room was located above a vaulted substructure that is also a mausoleum for its patron's family. The statues adorning the facade of the Library of Celsus represent the 4 virtues. There's Sophia, goddess of wisdom, Arete, goddess of bravery, Episteme, the goddess of knowledge, and Ennoia, goddess of thought.
You often see the exterior, but not the interior.
Inside the library, 2 rows of niches located on the inner side wall and the rear wall of the building can be seen. So it's known that originally there was also a 3rd row. Some 12,000 manuscripts were stored on shelves placed in these niches. Access to the scrolls placed on the upper floors was made possible by a 2-story gallery running along the 3 sides of the library. The largest central niche, decorated with a big arch, served as the place where once stood the statue of the goddess Athena.
And here comes the first load. Well, the traveler tip here is to get to the upper gate by 8 o'clock. And by 8:30, the sun is on this at the beginning or at the middle of September. So we've been able to enjoy this to ourselves. Though a few people have passed through.
Well, that's it for the Celsius Library. Time to move on and catch the rest of the place. Though dedicated to goddesses and emperors, many of the surviving monuments are named after their patrons. And the Gate of Mazaeus and Mithridates is another example. As the main gate to the commercial agora off of the Celsius Library Court, it was built in 40 AD by the slaves of Mazaeus and Mithridates, themselves both previously slaves. They built this gate in honor of the Emperor Augustus, who gave them both their freedom and sent them to Ephesus to serve as officers in charge of maintaining the properties belonging to the Roman Empire.
So they have an evening show where this area here and the library, and I believe the small amphitheater are all lit up. You can see all the lights installed. Must be beautiful. Our museum pass only lets us in once, but we may have to look into coming back to see that phenomena.
The Tetragonus Agora, the lower or square market, was the main commercial area serving the port of Ephesus. It links the Celsius Library and the Grand Theater along the length of Arcadia Street and was surrounded by a colonnaded portico that ran around its perimeter. There's evidence of an early market as early as the 8th century BC, though its current form dates from the 4th century BC. Hundreds of statues of famous Romans would have adorned the portico, while shops and commercial activities of all kinds, including a kiln, would have thrived. Though damaged in the 1st century BC by an earthquake, it was quickly repaired and restored.
Do you want to go up there?
I can.
These sections must have been a shop originally, and all those capitals would have sat on top of the columns that go all the way around it.
It's like one of these for a little garden table.
I would love that.
I mean, stick one in my backpack and we'll... And this is the first glimpse of the big amphitheater. I think this is the one we saw from the road, remember?
Yes.
Want to go run some stairs?
Sorry.
It's closed up and under some restoration. Here they come, en masse, thousands of them, offloading from the buses. It's about 9:30 now, so we got an hour to ourselves.
Running the length of the commercial agora, the Marble Road, known as the Sacred Way, was the main road through the city and would have been heavily trafficked, as evidenced by the multiple repairs that have been made. Busts and statues of the important people of the time would have been erected along the road, and letters from the emperor would have been carved into the blocks of the road for people to read. One of the most famous carvings along the road is believed to be an advertisement for the brothel. So this would be the first advertisement in history. The block is a carving of a left footprint, a purse of money, a woman, a heart, and a library. Well, it's time for a break from the heat and the crowds, so we've ducked into the Ephesus immersive experience across from the Grand Amphitheater. Let's check out the show. Well, that was really quite spectacular and well worth it. Included in the museum pass, I might add. So we're moving on to get another view of the grand amphitheater before heading back to take in the terrace houses. But first, this is the sarcophagi garden. These sarcophagi used to line all of the streets both in and out of Ephesus. So this is Arcadian Street, or the Harbor Street, as it connected the harbor with the city center. Anchored by the baths and gymnasium of Constantine at the port and proceeding up to the Grand Theater, this was the main entrance from the seaside. It was the main thoroughfare for imperial parades and for greeting foreign royalty and consular visitors. Shops and galleries would have lined one of the only street-lit streets in the whole empire. The very first stop a visitor to the city would make would be to the Theater Gymnasium, or the Gymnasium of Vidius, named after its patron and his wife and dedicated to the goddess Artemis. After months on a ship, its thermal baths and pools were welcomed not only by the visitors, but by the residents as well. The complex housed both baths and a gymnasium, and was one of the main learning, training, and education centers for the city. Its close proximity to the theater meant that many theater actors trained there alongside the Roman elite.
You ready for a bath there, sweetie? All the different colors of marbles, eh?
The baths of Constantine were built in the 2nd century AD under the Emperor Constantine, housing both frigidarium and caldarium, common pools and social areas. The baths were an essential part of the everyday life of Ephesian citizens, maintaining both physical and mental health through exercise and socializing, while reducing infectious migration through quality daily hygiene. A fresh and constant supply of fresh water was provided by the aqueducts and the municipal water supply that was then heated under the baths in huge furnaces.
And this is the Grand Theater. And it's pretty grand. But it's closed for renovations and restorations right now. When we were here on our last trip, we were able to get up on this, I remember. Either way, it's still a pretty spectacular sight. Even without shouting it from the tops. And this is Ephesus today. But every once in a while, there's a little pathway where they don't go. And you really get the opportunity to stop, take a breath, check out some little detail that you wouldn't have caught otherwise. And here, it looks like a wall built on top of the older construction. Whole block up through stone and plaster to a line of Roman brick with stone and plaster again above it, supported with old capitals and pedestals. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. It came from all over the empire.
The Temple of Hadrian is one of the best preserved and the least pillaged structures on the site. Built in the 2nd century AD, the facade features 4 Corinthian columns supporting an arch with a relief of Tyche, the goddess of victory.
This is the upper terrace houses. Or terrace 2 houses, I think they call it.
First floor shopping center, second person floor houses. 72 house on the first floor.
The terrace houses are 7 opulent, attached row houses built into the cliff overlooking Ephesus' main square. The history of the houses dates back to the Roman period when Ephesus was still a thriving city under Roman rule. They were constructed between the 1st and 3rd century AD and served as homes for Ephesus' most affluent and influential residents. The houses showcased the luxurious lifestyle of the Roman elite, featuring exquisite architectural designs, lavish interior decorations, and elaborate frescoes. Excavations and restoration efforts undertaken in recent years have uncovered a snapshot of their former glory, offering a glimpse into the social and cultural aspects of ancient Roman elite life. You can see the opulent, artistic, and everyday aspects of that life.
Central heating and plumbing too, eh? Not bad for what? 100 BC?
My friend, that museum is experience museum.
Era una volta economico.
Segue la regola di coprire con mosaici il pavimento con gli affreschi le pareti. Vedete le scene naturali con gli uccelli, poi in fondo sembra una nidea. Al terzo secolo. Poi vediamo il declino fino al periodo cristiano, ma tardo, cioè.
Sì, sono bellissime anch'io.
Sì, l'ho fatto, solo che schiena invece.
And as a bonus for taking in the terrace houses, we got to use our museum pass, but it was 200 lira each if you didn't. Well worth the money. And as a bonus, you get the best panoramic view of the entire site that you can get. And it's only available at the exit. And I would not call this user-friendly.
And one last view of the Celsius Library before we head on out to the gate. There's two sets of public latrines. The first down by the baths of Constantine at the port, and then these ones up beside the state agora. These public latrines were commonplace for socializing and doing business while doing your business.
Well, Ephesus, it's been a treat.
Ephesus was served by a series of 3 aqueducts, one of them over 50 kilometers long, that brought fresh water to serve the baths, the public fountains, and the public toilets. Water flowed from the aqueducts at over 60 feet per second and allowed for water to run to individual homes and buildings as well, while storm and sanitary sewers running under the main streets carried the waste down to the harbor. These aqueducts and their associated public works were necessary to supply Ephesus's growing population, including at one point removing the top row of the theater seating to accommodate the aqueduct's flow into the city.
Well, this wraps up the Ephesus ancient city trip. So we got a few tips. Number 1, arrive at 7:45 at the upper gate. You can have an excellent cappuccino at the guy's coffee shop across and be the first people in. About 5-minute walk to the Celsius Library. You can watch the sunrise over it. It was a gorgeous day today. Terrace houses can't be missed. Make sure you catch those and watch for the next adventure. Stay tuned.
Well, the Grotto of the Seven Sleepers is closed for an archaeology project. So we're going to have some gazemel in this pretty cool looking place right outside of it. Even though it's closed, there's still a few people hanging out, so hope it's good.
Well, the Cesme experience this time around is certainly much better than that bus stop one we had that was like grease, deep fried. It's very nice. All right. We're here to check off another one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. We've seen the Colossus of Rhodes, the Pyramids of Giza. I don't know what the other ones are. But here is the Temple of Artemis, or at least what's left of it. One single solitary standing column. And a bunch of busloads of tourists. Well, that is pretty colossal. So there used to be a bunch of these columns.
Yeah, you know what? He's got a book that's really interesting. It shows the before and afters.
Right.
I like that.
And then you wonder how this wound up here. With the Christian cross. Well, official end to our couple of days in Ephesus, but we're heading off to Pamukkale today, and before we do, we're going to take in the Ephesus Archaeological Museum. So come and join us. And here we have the man himself, Socrates.
It's nice checking out the museums associated with the local sites, because a lot of this stuff has been moved for safekeeping and shipped all the way around the world, actually. So being able to see some of this and then see where it was actually recovered from is definitely part of the experience.
So yesterday we went to the Temple of Artemis with its one remaining column standing. But had we been back there in the day, this is what we would have seen. And it's no wonder it made it to the 7 wonders of the ancient world. They did love their bling. And here she is, the mother goddess Artemis. In one of her various forms. Okay, one more freeze before we leave. Well, another great score on the museum pass. Definitely well worth the pass if you're going to take a bunch of the museums. And now we're off to Pamukkale.